may as well start this now. Seeing as we're out walking in the woods and the idea has just come to me to, maybe not finally, but actually go ahead and start a podcast. I've tried this over and over again with various different people, and it's always come down to a case of wanting to get the branding really good right off the bat, wanting to present yourself in a certain way, so you alter your voice. I'm already doing it now, I can hear. Where you alter your voice in a certain way that you come across as like radio friendly and you're presenting yourself well, but ultimately it always sort of fizzles out because it's not reality. And I realised that all of my favourite podcasts really are just people chatting, talking in their own individual styles with other different people, sometimes on their own. So I figure that's what I want to try and do now. We're mid coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic. It's 2020. I don't think anybody thought that the world was going to be in this position this year. But here we are. And walking through the woods now, I'm walking my dog. I just came up with the name WholeLifeCrisis. Because, I don't know, I think that's sort of like how I live my life. I was thinking in bed last night that I've had every single opportunity. My parents, my family are a wonderful family. They've given me every opportunity to grow, to be secure, to make something of myself. And I'm truly grateful for that support. But I was thinking last night that I've never really fully lived in joy. And I think I've always had a little trepidation about who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, who I'm going to end up as, what my career will be, how I'm going to be stable and financially secure and make money, and that sort of thing. And it by no means am I trying to say that I've had a hard life, because I haven't. I've experienced some difficult things. I think everybody has, but I am blessed. But just the name Whole Life Crisis came about because I was thinking I've never really felt comfortable doing what I'm doing. So the plan for this is just to essentially talk, and I'll cap it at an hour for now, and try not to focus on the presentation too much. So I'm recording this on my iPhone in the woods. You can hear the birds singing. You can hear my dog's footsteps padding about. But I've got all the equipment I need at home as well. I've got GarageBand, I've got microphones, I've got a Mac that I can export things on. So I'll probably include this in the first episode, if this isn't the first episode in its entirety. Whole Life Crisis, episode 1. I think it's just time to start documenting life, really, and have interesting conversations with as many people as I possibly can about every possible subject. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to finish walking my dog, go home, and do my best to observe the rules of this lockdown that we've got in the UK, which is don't go out of the house, stay in unless it's for essential travel or shopping or one instance of exercise a day, which I'm currently doing. Right, probably check back in again soon. If you are listening to this, thank you. If you're not, you'll never hear this, but you should be listening. Well, I've done it. I've set up the microphone. I've got GarageBand ready to record. This is the first installment of the Whole Life Crisis. And it feels good to take a first step into actually doing something and producing something. Over the past couple of years, I've carved out an accidental niche in personal finance videos on YouTube, and it started out just me speaking about things from my own perspective, trying to save money, learn a little bit about savings and investing. And it grew a little bit, and now I actually get people asking me questions on what they should do with their personal finances and how they should save their money and where they should go to invest. And it's all very interesting because I've got no expertise in this whatsoever besides my personal experience.
but I thoroughly enjoy it. They're terribly boring videos to watch, but I really enjoy the fact that I'm just speaking about my experience and people seem to be getting something out of it. So that's what I'd like to do with this podcast, is take it in a direction of, I'm in my mid 30s now, exactly mid 30s. I'm 35 years old, but I still feel young. Um, I still feel humorous. I still feel like I've got a good sense of humor. Uh, and all the boys that I hang out with, that we grew up together, went to school together, people I've met along the way in various jobs. Um, we all still have a real good time when we get together, and I just figured it would be a good opportunity to start a podcast, discuss some of the stories of when we were young, um, where we thought we would be at this age, where we still think we're headed. I don't think my life has panned out in any way as I thought it would, and I've sort of found accidental success in different areas, and realized that I'm not as good at some things that I thought I would be. And I just think people get something from that. People take comfort from hearing other people discuss their personal experiences, and that's what I want to do with this podcast. Um, as I said in the intro, which I recorded in the woods, we're currently mid lockdown in the UK. It's, what is it, the 5th of May 2020. Um, One of my favourite things to do at the minute, because we're not allowed to go out. But again, that's a silly thing to say, not allowed to go out. We're being encouraged to stay indoors by the government, and it's a worldwide thing. Everybody knows what's going on because they're all living through it in their own specific ways. But my favourite thing to do at the minute is walk the dog, because it's time outdoors, which is allowed, government sanctioned time outdoors. And when I'm not listening to podcasts, it's just a good opportunity to switch off, listen to the birds, listen to the stream, walk through the forest, and think about things. And I've had tons of different subjects come and go through my mind this week. I think one of the main ones was the fact that I'm very quick to give up what works, and chase after something that I think will be better. And I think that it all comes back to the same sort of thing. You don't want to be, like I said in the intro. Whenever I've started a podcast with other people, the branding has always come first, which I think is a mistake. The best way to go about this kind of thing is to produce the content and speak about the things first, and then eventually it'll fall into its own little category of whatever it's supposed to be, whatever naturally comes about, instead of setting out to say, well, I'm going to make a podcast on this specific subject, or we're going to discuss conspiracy theories, we're going to discuss, again, finance. I didn't come about my YouTube channel. I didn't start it with a view to being a financial guru, and I'm still far from it, but it's just, that's what people engage with the most, and that's where I want to take this podcast. Specifically, I was thinking about that subject of giving up on what works to chase what you think might be better. From a health and fitness perspective, I've currently been in lockdown for 7 weeks now, and it's an excellent opportunity to get healthy and come out of it better than I went in. But as it turns out, I've just eaten a hell of a lot of junk food, haven't done a great deal of exercise besides the walking, and I'm feeling worse for it. But one of the best things that we did is, two of the boys I regularly speak to started a push-up agreement, we'll call it, where we had one push-up every day. We're currently up to like 47 consecutive push-ups now, and it was really good for the mental health side of it, because you had to check in every day with somebody else. So I'm not just sat in the flat on my own. I've got to make contact every single day with these two boys at least, and satisfy a fitness challenge as well. And it's not perfect, it's not sexy, it doesn't look great on film, but we're doing it. It's the thing that works. And I think in the past I've abandoned what works for what I think will be better, and I'd like to stop doing that now. Because you always end up, it ends up that you're always chasing something that you'll never really get, because you can't get perfection. You just have to focus on what will get you to where you want to go, rather than worrying about being where you think you should be. I think that makes sense. But anyway, again, just producing content. This is a first trial. I hope to get a bunch of people on here, if I can, if this becomes a regular thing, which I hope it does, because I just like producing content. And I'm not an expert in anything besides me. God damn, I'm not an expert in that either. But we're learning as we go. So yeah, if you're by any chance listening to this, I do appreciate it. Again, hope to have a few people guesting on this, sort of like on a regular basis, where it'll be like the Whole Life podcast, with your host Ollie Rosser, with regular features, if I can get any of my friends involved. So yeah, I hope you're staying safe in this mid-pandemic. I can't really see how we're going to go back to normal as quickly as we got out of normality. That is concerning me a little bit. But stay safe, wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from anyone you speak to. And my dog's just stirring, so I better get up and entertain him. Take care, everybody. You can listen to this podcast on YouTube /Ollie Rosser. I will put it as an unlisted video in its own little playlist of podcast episodes. That's the only place it'll be at the moment until I can figure out what I used to know, which is how to get it uploaded onto Apple Podcasts and maybe a few other podcast services.